Imagine waking up as a Manchester City fan and everything you thought you knew about your season has completely collapsed in the space of just 24 hours. First, the shock news breaks. Pep Guardiola, the manager who has defined an entire era at Manchester City, is suddenly linked with a possible departure. No clear confirmation, no final decision, just uncertainty hanging over the club like a storm cloud. And then, before fans even have time to process that bombshell, City step onto the pitch against Bournemouth and can only manage a 1-1 draw. A result that, on its own, might not feel catastrophic, but in the context of everything happening around the club, it becomes devastating. Because at that exact moment, Arsenal complete their season and are crowned Premier League champions, ending their 22-year wait for the title. And just like that, Manchester City's world changes completely. From title challengers to runners-up, from control to collapse, from dominance to doubt. What makes this story even more dramatic is the timing. City didn't just lose the title over a season, they lost it in moments. Small margins, key fixtures, and psychological pressure all piling up at the worst possible time. Because not long before this final collapse, City were still in control of their own destiny. The title was within reach, the squad was experienced, and Pep Guardiola's side had done this so many times before. But something shifted. It began with a crucial 3-3 draw against Everton, a game that should have been routine for a team of City standards. Instead, it became the turning point. Dropped points in a chaotic match where City looked vulnerable, and Arsenal, watching closely, took full advantage. From that moment on, the momentum shifted completely. Arsenal didn't just lead the race, they started to believe it was theirs to lose, while City started to feel the pressure of chasing a team that refused to sleep. And then comes the bigger conversation: Pep Guardiola's future. For nearly a decade, Guardiola has built Manchester City into one of the most dominant teams in world football. Multiple Premier League titles, record-breaking seasons, a Champions League triumph, and a level of consistency English football has rarely seen. But now, for the first time, questions are being asked about what comes next. Reports and speculation suggest internal discussions about his long-term future. And while nothing is officially confirmed, the uncertainty alone is enough to shake the club's foundations. Because when a manager like Pep Guardiola is linked with an exit, it doesn't just affect tactics or selection, it affects identity. It raises questions about the entire direction of the club. Who replaces him? How do you replace someone who has not only won everything, but completely transformed the way football is played in the Premier League? Some names are already being mentioned, including potential successors like Enzo Maresca, one of Guardiola's former assistants. But even that raises another question. Can a disciple ever truly replace the master? Or does Guardiola leave behind a void that cannot be filled in the same way? And while all of this unfolds, one fear quietly grows among Manchester City supporters: the fear of decline. Because English football has seen this story before. When Sir Alex Ferguson left Manchester United, it marked the beginning of a long and painful transition period. And now, some are wondering whether City could be heading toward a similar moment in their own history. On the pitch, the signs of pressure were already visible. Games that once felt controlled began to slip away. Moments of dominance turned into moments of hesitation. Even when City still had the title in their hands just weeks earlier, they let it slip through a 3-3 draw at Everton, a match that now looks like the defining turning point of the entire season. From there, Arsenal capitalized ruthlessly, maintaining consistency while City faltered at key moments. And that is what makes this title race so controversial. Was this Arsenal winning the league through brilliance, consistency, and belief? Or was it Manchester City losing it through pressure, distraction, and timing? That is the debate that will dominate fans for years. Because on one hand, Arsenal deserve enormous credit. They stayed consistent, they handled pressure, and they turned key moments into victories. On the other hand, City's drop in standards at crucial moments opened the door just enough for Arsenal to walk through it and never look back. Now, as the season comes to an end, Manchester City find themselves at a crossroads. A club that has dominated English football suddenly faces questions about its future direction. A manager who has defined an era may be preparing for a new chapter. A squad that once looked untouchable now has to respond to disappointment and rebuild belief. And so, the biggest question remains: what happens next? Is this simply a rare setback for a modern football dynasty? Or is this the beginning of a major transition period at Manchester City? The end of an era that defined the Premier League for years. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Manchester City lost this title? Or did Arsenal win it? Was Guardiola's uncertainty a distraction or just coincidence? And most importantly, is this the beginning of a decline for City or just another chapter in their dominance? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to see every opinion on this one. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications because we'll be covering all the latest football drama, transfers, and major stories as they unfold. Because in football, nothing stays the same for long.